The Excel function large is very useful to rank a dataset in your spreadsheet. However, when combined with other functions, it can do way more than that. In this video, I'll show you how you can use the function large to create a summary of the top values of a dataset, just so you can get different results by the click of a button. Are you curious how to do that? So watch the whole video. Let's start. The functions large and small are very useful for data ranking in Excel. In a nutshell, they are used to obtain the respective largest and smallest values from a given range. Let's start by inserting the function large in cell G6. In this function, the array argument will be the GDP of the 177 countries of this list. So let's select the entire range from D3 to D179. The second argument is K, which represents our desired position within the array. So let's type 1 for instance, close brackets, press enter, and the result is the largest number within our dataset, which is related to the GDP of USA. If we change the argument k from 1 to 2, we'll get the second largest number, and so on. The same logic applies to the function small, so if we replace the function large by the function small here and type 1 as our k argument, the result will be the smallest number in our dataset, which in this case is the smallest GDP on this list. Let's now see a more complex example using the function large. Our first goal here is to combine the functions sum and large to obtain a combined GDP value of whatever top values we choose. So let's start by inserting the function large in cell G5 for instance, and again, let's extract the largest GDP of our list, just like this. Now, this argument k doesn't necessarily need to be a single number. It can also be an array of numbers, as long as you use curly brackets for that argument. For example, to extract the three largest GDPs of our dataset, let's open the curly bracket here and type 1, 2, and 3 separated by commas and close the curly bracket. Close the function with a normal bracket, press enter, and we get an array showing three separate figures. They represent the first, second, and third largest GDP values from our list. Now, to combine these values, we just need to insert the function sum after the equal sign. You can then close brackets to nest those functions. Press enter and we get the total of the top 3 GDPs, which is over $47 trillion. Now let's learn how to link this nested formula to an external array. Remember that our goal here is to create a dynamic array which changes at any time we choose a different value for the k argument. So in cell G10 for instance, let's start creating that array by typing equals, selecting the range B3 to B5 and pressing enter. This array showing the values 1, 2, and 3 will be displayed here. Next, we need this array to change based on the number we use as our k argument. For example, if our k argument is 5, this dynamic array should automatically change to a list going from 1 to 5. To help us with that, let's write up here the reference range we have at this stage, which is B3 to B5. You can then go back to cell G10 and insert the indirect function to recreate the range above. Here, it's very important to keep in mind that text elements, including punctuation marks, need to be enclosed by quotation marks, and numbers and values from other cells need to be enclosed by ampersand symbols. So, for the given reference range we have, we need to take the following steps: quotation mark, B, quotation mark, ampersand, 3, ampersand again, quotation mark, colons, B, quotation mark, ampersand again, 5, and finally close brackets. Press enter and we get the same 1, 2, 3 sequence we had before. At this stage, we managed to recreate the range indirectly. This now helps us to make this array dynamic, as we see next. What we want to do now is create the flexible range we need. So let's go to cell F2 for instance and type 3 to represent the size of our initial range. Now bear in mind that row number 1 of this spreadsheet is actually empty, and row number 2 represents the header of our dataset. Therefore, the first row of the table is actually the row number 3, and this difference of 2 rows needs to be reflected in our dynamic range as well. So let's go back to our indirect function and replace the number 5 with a link to cell F2. Add a plus sign and then add the number 2 to reflect the adjustment we just explained. Press enter, and if we now go to cell F2 and type 4 or any other number, our dynamic array will adjust automatically. Next, we can go back to our nested sum and large formula and replace our previous k argument, which is 1, 2, and 3, with a link to cell G10, which is our dynamic array. Let's also add a hashtag just after G10 to indicate that we want to include the entire array in this case. Press enter, and if you change, for example, cell F2 again from 3 to 4, the dynamic array and the combined GDP value will automatically adjust. To make sure our figure is correct, let's insert the sum function down here and select the top 4 GDP cells. Both functions have the same results, so our nested formula is consistent. We can then move that formula to cell G3, move the dynamic array to cell E3, and delete the rest. Everything's coming together nicely on our dashboard, so now we just have to make the finishing touches. The first adjustment is on the label top K. Use the same technique of combining text and values, where text elements, including punctuation marks, need to be enclosed by quotation marks, and numbers and values from other cells need to be enclosed by ampersand symbols. Now, anytime the value k changes up here, this label also changes. Now let's tidy up this dynamic array. First, select cell E3, go to Conditional Formatting and click Greater Than. Let's replace the number 1 with a 0. Choose the option Green Fill with dark green text and click OK. Go to Conditional Formatting again, and this time click on Equal to. Type 0 in this menu, keep this default red background color, and click OK. To make the array numbers invisible, select cell E3 again and press Ctrl 1 to open the Format Cells menu. Come down here to Custom, and in this field type, replace this text by 3 semicolons, which is the code to make cells invisible in Excel, and press Enter. You can then copy all the formats you inserted in cell E3 and paste it to the entire column E. Now only the rows selected by our k argument will be highlighted in green. Next, let's complement this summary table with a percentage calculation where the combined GDP formula needs to be divided by the total GDP of all countries. Finally, to avoid changing the numbers in cell F2 manually, we need to insert a spin button, which is done through the Developer menu. By the way, if this menu is not available to you, just right-click the ribbon and then click Customize the ribbon. There you can select the Developer option and click OK, so it can show up on your screen. Now, in this menu, click on Insert and choose this option Spin Button Form Control, and then draw the spin button over cell F2 with your mouse, just like this. Then right-click over the spin button and click on Format Control. In the Control section, let's set the numbers that reflect our dataset. So we have 3 for current value, 1 for minimum, 177 for maximum, and 1 for incremental value. Finally, make sure the field cell link reflects the cell F2, which is the cell used to set the k argument of our function large. Click on OK, and that's it. We can now use the spin button to select which top values from our dataset we want to see, and the percentage amount will change instantly. In this video, we cover a complex example using the function large, but you could do a similar thing with the function small, which follows pretty much the same logic. Now, the best thing to do is to practice. Remember that you can download the Excel file used in this video for free and without any email subscription. The link is on the description. Finally, please hit the thumbs up if you liked this video and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on any new video I upload. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.